and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. Before we get into the meeting, just like to do a quick... Did I start too soon, Annie, or was it being recorded sooner? Because I did get a message before that it was okay.
You're all good, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Before we get started, let's just do a quick roll call to make sure that everybody has sound. So let's start with Councillor Cleary.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor. Rob McQueen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Val, I think we heard from you before. Just want to make sure you're still okay.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Thank you. And Marvin, can you just go off mute and make sure that we can hear you okay? Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Marvin. Jennifer.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning. And Renee.
Hello.
Hi, Renee. So moving to the approval of minutes from December the 5th, 2022. Are there any requests for corrections or amendments from the minutes? Hearing none, I will ask for a mover and a seconder on the following motion that the minutes of the December 5th, 2022 Investment Policy Advisory Committee meeting be approved as presented or amended.
So moved.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Councillor Cleary. Seconded by Rob.
Yep.
Thank you. Approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions. Annie, have there been any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Thank you, Chair. Before we go through the approval of the order of business, we have the motion on the minutes moved and seconded, but we still do need a vote on that item.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor of passing the motion for the approval of the minutes, please signify by saying yay.
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 And opposed, signify by saying nay. Okay, sorry about that, Annie. Told you I'm a little rusty on this.
All good, Chair. We're here to support each other. So we're now on the approval of the order of business, and there have been no additions or deletions from the clerk's office.
Perfect. So I will ask for a mover and a seconder on the following motion that the agenda of the March 6, 2023 Investment Policy Advisory Committee meeting be approved as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Cleary. And the seconder?
I can second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor signify by saying yay.
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 And
Yay.
all those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay. So that motion passes as well. Any business arising out of the minutes? We have none. I'd also like to call now for the declaration of conflict of interest. Does anyone have a conflict to declare? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on to the next item, which is consideration of deferred business. We have none. Reports and discussion is the next agenda item, and that is the Treasurer's report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2022. So this report was circulated already to the committee in your original agenda package. So we're just going to take a quick walk through that. So our summary of activities for the quarter ending December 31st, 2022, we actually made 4 money market investments during that period for a total ending value of our money market investments of $93,942,969, or we could just say $94 million. There were no additional provincial bond investments made during this period, but we did carry forward bonds with a face value of $157 million. The operating fund investment income for the 3 months ending December 31st, 2022 was $2,451,803. And that is versus the forecast of 2.42 million. So pretty close, a little bit more. The total investment income for the entire portfolio, so that covers everything, the reserves, the trusts, and our related entities, was just a little over $7 million. Our rate of return for just the quarter was 0.90%, which works out to an annual return of 3.6%. And the projected rate of return was 0.91. So pretty much on target there. We are still on track for a projected annual return of 2.9%. So moving into our investment accounts, at the end of the quarter, December 31st, 2022, we held just a little over $500 million, $505 million in our investment accounts. And again, that represents all the funds that we invest in, including our related entities such as Halifax Water, our reserve funds, our trust funds, as well as our operating funds. Our incremental income over what we would have had from a relative BA or BDN, so a Bankers Accepted or Bearer Deposit Note, is calculated as being $30,169. And we calculated that based on a BA BDN rate of 4.39%. So made a little bit more money than we would have on those same investments. The income from our investment accounts did return a quarterly return, this is across all of our investment accounts, of 1.09%, which provides an annualized return of 4.36%. We also achieved about a $19,000 increase as a result of a change that was made to our investment policy in 2007. And another $14,000, which is related to a policy change that was made in 2019. Both of those changes we keep track of. You will see as you attend more of these meetings. So altogether, we have over $5 million as a result of the 2007 policy change, and a little over $2 million as a result of the April 2019 change. So moving into bonds, for this period, as noted, we did not increase our bond portfolio, and we have bonds currently in that portfolio in the amount of $157.1 million. The return on our bonds averages out a weighted average yield of 1.18%, and our maturities start in June 2023 and will go through to June 2024. So now we turn to our money market investments. The money market portion of the portfolio ended with a balance of $93 million, or pretty much $94 million. The return for just the money market portion was 0.80% as of December 31st, again annualized to 3.2%. The rolling one-year return is 1.5%, and that is a result of some investments that were made when we had a lower market rate. It takes a while for those to mature and to roll off. Although the average return of the benchmark one-year T-bill during the period was 4.29%, like I said, we were holding on to some of these money market investments that were purchased a while ago, so that's why we're a little bit lower than the benchmark T-bill. As we move into 2023 and those older ones will roll off, we'll see those returns start to increase again. And just a note, we actually saw the reverse happen in 2020, 2021. When the rates were falling rather rapidly, we actually were able to maintain a higher rate for a longer period of time. So this is just the opposite effect. So if you're looking on page 4, you can see that there's a graph here that basically indicates that our returns are starting to increase. And this is as a result of the Bank of Canada increased rates over the past year. So turning on to our overall results and then the benchmark, which we had mentioned in our introduction that we do compare our results to the benchmark. And for the benchmark, we are using the RBC Pooled Fund Survey. The standard that we use is we are measured against the median rate of the 1-year rolling basis return. So our return over a period of 12 months rolling is what we use as our standard compared to the money market, pooled fund money markets. What am I trying to say here? Sorry, the RBC Pooled Fund Survey. So if you look at our return for the 1 year ending December 31st, 2022, it was 2.08%. And that actually is better than the first quartile and very close to the 5th percentile. So we feel that we did achieve our investment goal. So there's a new section for this quarter, which is ESG monitoring. And we did do a counterparty review in December, and we noted that all eligible counterparties are well above the industry average. And we also wanted to note the end of quarter, or subsequent to the end of reporting of the quarter, we saw the Bank of Canada set the overnight rate to 4.5% on January 25th, so another 25 basis point increase. They are indicating at this point that they're going to pause the overnight rate, so we expect to see that to remain pretty steady, probably for the rest of 2023, although the bank has also indicated that if the current inflation does not start to decline as they would like it to, then they will certainly act and they may put in some further increases. So we continue to monitor the guidance that the Bank of Canada is providing. We will also continue to balance our portfolio with government sector instruments in the form of primarily provincial treasury bills. This provides a diversification that we are looking for, but also allows us to have the level of liquidity that we need and balance our level of risk. Our next rebalance will be in early May. So on the last page, or I shouldn't say not the last page, page 7, just wanted to make note that our return on investments, as I said before, does exceed the first quartile of the benchmark. So therefore, staff contends that we have met that objective. We also had no overdraft charges during the quarter and absolutely no loss of capital. So that's the end of the Treasurer's report. I'd like to open it up now to see if anybody has any questions. We'll start with Councillor Cleary. Councillor Cleary, do you have any questions about this?
Just one quick one. I mean, in general, of course, you guys do a fabulous job and manage our funds fantastically. And you kind of explained it, but it's funny when you look at the charts and you look at last year's returns, kind of where we are, they're kind of above where we are now. But I think that was because we had so much extra cash on hand versus kind of where we are today. If you look at the 2021 and then this year's. The other one was just if there was a typo on page 5 where it said the operating investment income, if you total them all up for the quarters, was $6.5 million. Actual $4,750,000. Variance was $100,000. I wasn't quite sure. Was that a typo of $1 million, or was that actually a variance of $100,000? Because I'm trying to figure out. That's the variance just between the April, each of those quarters. Because if you look at the bottom lines, the totals, I wasn't sure why they're all across like that when because I guess that doesn't include the January to March. Anyway, just that table was confusing because the variance doesn't seem to equate the two numbers to the side, but it does to the two numbers above.
Correct. That's correct, Councillor. The variance is actually the total variance sort of year to date. And it is against the specific projection for that quarter. So you'll note that the quarter projections have actually changed. So from where we were at the beginning of the year, when our interest rates were much lower, we had obviously a much lower projection. And then we have increased it as we moved along January to March is a little bit lower, and that actually is reflected in what you had mentioned about the cash balances we project will be lower in January, March. We don't do our next tax collection until after the period ends. So the actual columns do add up to, this is what we have actually collected so far. And the variances, these are our total variances to date. I agree with you, it is a bit confusing.
Because if you look at the projection in the actual, and then you look at the variance, you'd think they would equal across the bottom and down the columns. But it was just kind of throwing me off. It's like, oh, because we don't have the January to March actual.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure if it was worthwhile having the actual total. But anyway, that was just
So I mean, if you want to read between the lines, what it's saying is that, looks like we have about 1.75 million in actuals that we need to get in January to March in order to meet our total goal. But yeah. Does that answer?
all good.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have sorry, just a couple
Go ahead.
questions. Yep. So the January to March 2023 projection, what's the assumption on the rate we're looking at for that quarter?
Oh, I'd have to go get that number. I believe for the quarter itself, I don't have that number handy, but I believe what we are looking for is around a 3.5% to 4% for like sort of annualized.
Annualized. Yep.
Yeah, the reason why it is lower, like I said, is because we will have lower cash balances during that quarter.
Yeah. Okay. And just one other question. I see we seem to be continuing with the high interest savings account. And we still believe that that's our best option given the changes in the overnight rates. That hasn't changed, that it's still our best option for return and liquidity, I guess. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. It is still our best option when compared to, if we look at the financial instruments, sort of half of the portfolio, the high interest savings accounts do provide us with the best return that we can get while providing the liquidity that we need as well. As I said, it's important for us to be able to get money to cover our expenses as they are coming along, and that's easily done through our savings accounts. And it does certainly provide higher rates than what the government sector would provide. So our T-bills and so on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We do monitor that regularly, by the way. That's something that we look at every time that we are looking to invest. So I believe we have next on the speakers list. Sorry, Annie, I'm just trying to pull this out. Here we go. Val, did you have any questions?
Just a quick one. On page 4, where you're showing the graph there, what's the time period for the graph that you're sort of looking upwards?
So the graph on the bottom of page 4, so that's the rate of return on government portion of money market investments. Just want to make sure we're okay. So that goes from the end of 2020, so December 31st, 2020, through to the end of this reporting period, which is December 31st, 2022. So it's really just showing that the return that we have been getting on our on the government portion of our investment portfolio, so the money market investments, is continuing to creep up as obviously the Bank of Canada creeps up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the speakers list is Marvin. Did you have any questions, Marvin?
Sorry, no question.
Great, thank you. Jennifer. Did you have any questions? No questions?
Thank you.
Great. So are there any further questions or comments, or are we ready for the question? So we have actually a motion that I didn't put on the floor. Is that right? Annie, did I forget to put the motion on the floor? I think I did.
Thank
So
you,
we have
Chair.
a motion here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, my apologies. So they're still split up as two separate items at the moment, where
Okay.
the draft report has a little bit of a different kind of, front end of it. So I'm not sure if it would be helpful to the committee to have a bit of an overview on the rationale for why those two documents look a little bit different. Totally up to your discretion, but can put that motion in the chat for moving.
Okay, if you could. So while Annie is doing that, I guess I probably should explain, because these the treasurer's report that we reviewed is not the report that actually goes to our audit and finance committee. It's a staff report that goes to the audit and finance committee. It's essentially the same information, slightly different format, and that is what would go to the actual audit and finance committee, and we need to pass a motion to say that we agree to move that staff report to the committee. So that is what we're going to be doing now. And the motion is that the Investment Policy Advisory Committee recommend that the Audit and Finance Standing Committee forward the Investment Policy Advisory Committee report, quarter ending December 31st, 2022, to Halifax Regional Council for information.
Happy
So
to move.
are there any further questions or comments on that? Okay, ready for the question.
Thank you, Chair. And I believe that Councillor Cleary was the mover.
Sure.
I believe so. Do we need I don't see a note here. Do we need a seconder for this as well? Yeah. Do I have a seconder as well, please?
I can second.
Thank you, Val. All those in favor signify by saying yay.
Yay.
Okay,
Yay.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. And that motion passes. Thank you very much, Annie. For those of you who are new to the committee, I've actually been out of this office for about a year and a half. So this is my first time back doing this Investment Policy Advisory Committee. So I'm a little rusty. Added items. We have none. Date of the next meeting is June 5th, 2022. And moving on to adjournment, could I have a mover for the adjournment, please?
I can move.
Thank you, Rob. So the committee is adjourned at 1:28 p.m. Thank
Thanks.
you very much, everybody. Appreciate your patience as I walk through this for the first time in a while.